Good afternoon. We will call this meeting to order.
Where'd he go?
Oh, we don't have Jim.
He snuck out. He said you could start without him.
No, I don't think.
Okay.
All right.
So we've had our pledge and we've had our moment of silence. Roll call, please.
Well, Commissioner O'Rourke is here, absent, but vacant. Commissioner Rexroth.
Present.
Chairman Wessel.
Here.
Commissioner Ross. Here. Commissioner Alguier. Yes. Commissioner Lautner. Present.
Okay. And the purpose of the meeting is to discuss the extent to which we might have everybody in the audience that are elected commissioners be involved in the interview process and in the collective decision. We'll have that discussion. Richard's going to kick us off, and then Chet's going to take us up. And I have shared with our commissioner-elects that we'd like to hear a lot from them today, as long as we're out of here by 1:30.
So you don't get to hear a lot. Basically, back on November the 26th, Chet informed everybody, including the...
Does the agenda say we have public comment?
What?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Jen. Is there any public comment? Any commissioner comment? We now will turn it over to.
Anyway, back on November the 26th, Chet sent out an email updating all the commissioners as well as commissioners-elect. I think they were on there, but as it relates to one of the candidates removing himself from consideration. On that same date, Mr. Campbell, one of the commissioners-elects, suggested that besides just being involved in the meet and greet, they would like, there were some things how they should be involved in proceedings for the next interview session. Is in the way Chet found that further questioned Mr. Campbell or suggested that they should be allowed to participate in the interview process by being up here or somewhere here, by being able to directly ask questions instead of being more of a participant, an observer out in the audience. I took that and I did send it to our attorneys because I didn't realize that this is something that can be done and not be done. And it just so happens you have an email that I received back from Mr. Norford. And it was also interesting that the same issue seems to be going on down in Ottawa County. See, about the same time there was an article in the Record Eagle about the same topic out there. Bottom line, there's no legal concerns regarding having the commissioner-elects being a part of the process up here of asking questions, and that's what it is. Although there is, the portion of it that the only individuals that can make the decision, make a formal decision and a vote are you six. That's it. That's it, and I think everybody understands that. I think both he and myself, and I'll let Chet speak for himself, we would like to make sure whoever gets decided upon, we want to make sure this board as well as an incoming board are comfortable who gets selection, so at least the process could continue. And I'm just going to be honest about it, I'm kind of selfish about that idea because the sooner you get somebody on board, the sooner that person starts, the sooner I get to go back to total retirement. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chet if you got anything more to add. So.
Good afternoon.
I did that very quickly so I can get everyone out here at 1:30. Chet, thank you for your advice.
So I would appreciate it because I'm leaving here to drive to Marquette.
Yes.
Because I see a snowstorm coming this evening and I'm up there interviewing candidates for their manager positions tomorrow and Thursday. So hopefully I'll make it. No easy way to get to Marquette.
No.
So anyway, just to give an overview, Mr. Lewis and I actually met Saturday morning just to make sure we're on the same page going forward, which we of course are, but just to review, we have two candidates that will be interviewed on Thursday. Mr. Brown is part of the meet and greet at 9 a.m. and then the board interview at 10, and Mr. Dyer's meet and greet at 10, and the board interview at 11. I believe Jen, the HR person, sent an email out to all employees, inviting them to the meet and greet. And there'll be 3x5 index cards, or if they have any comments, like last time, they can fill those out and give them to the chairman, and he will share with all of you. So that's the process in place. Last Saturday, we received an email from me with sample dialogue topics. They're just an idea. But this is more of a dialogue, I think, the second round, because you did a formal interview. I'm sure a lot of you had questions the first round, but you just didn't have time to ask them in fairness to all of you. So feel free like last time. I thought last time went quite well. It was more of a dialogue back and forth so you can ask questions and so forth. And I've also asked them, both Mr. Brown and Mr. Meyer, to be prepared to ask questions too, because you want this to be a two-way partnership and make sure they feel comfortable with it. So they may have some questions to ask. Yesterday, you received an email from me with the background search on both the candidates, and I had a chance to look at that, but it was very positive. There was no issues with any of them. And everyone was very positive, both of the candidates. We did a legal background search, and there was no issues there. And so I think you're ready to go. The question is how you want to participate with the incoming commissioners. And Mr. Campbell was one that I had a dialogue with. I think they all feel they'd like to be a part of the process. And I talked to Mr. Brown and Mr. Dyer, and they really would appreciate having their input also, because whoever you choose will have to work with the new commissioners. So actually, both Mr. Brown and Mr. Dyer are pleased to know that the incoming commissioners will at least be able to voice their opinion and ask questions, hopefully, on the process. So in that respect, I think it'd be a good process to get them involved in some capacity. You have approximately an hour timeline on questions. Many of the topics that I suggested you may ask maybe the same questions that they may have also. And so going forward, as Mr. Lewis stated, there is no legal options except the fact that when it comes to vote, it has to be the 6 of you. And then you also received an email from me last Saturday with some sample contract language for employment. If you select a candidate, I sent you some sample contract language. The sample contracts I sent you were done by Post-Oker, but the other counties are not in searches with, so they're pretty standard. But you do, if you do select a candidate, you need to complete the process by December 31st. Because if there's not a signed contract by December 31st, in theory, you do work with county and start the process from the beginning. I'm not sure you want to do that, but they would have that legal option. And I think that's a bit of concern what's going on in Ottawa County, because the incoming board and the outgoing board have different reasons and who the candidate should be. I don't think that's the case here. So I'm optimistic the process will go very smooth. I said I'll be in Marquette Thursday, because that commitment was made quite a few months ago. But I'll be zooming in and watching the interviews and respond afterwards to any questions. The normal process is the board authorizes the chairman or the chairman and someone else to enter negotiations with the candidate. I serve as a mediator. Sometimes a little uncomfortable for the candidate and the board to talk about contract terms. I've talked to both of the candidates already about potential contract terms and how the process would work. And so they're comfortable with that. And then,
And I did reach out to Doug, and Doug has agreed if this board so chooses to work with me on negotiating that contract.
but I can tell you from talking to both these candidates, and I've done this 6 times the past year, it's never been a case where within 3-4 days we have not had a verbal agreement with the candidates in any of the searches that I've done, because they know what the terms are. As you remember, one of the things I was really stating at the beginning was set the salary range up front, because that's usually the biggest sticking point. So both candidates know up front, this is your range, and it's where you fall in that range. And usually the benefits are pretty much the same as with the other employees here, so I don't see that as a major issue.
So I have a question, Chet. I mean, so this makes sense to have this incoming board involved in the question, but what would be then the process for us? I mean, there's no sense in doing that unless we receive their input in some sort of data manner. I mean, are they just going to have public comment, or are you going to have some sort of rating sheet?
Well, it's up to you. What you could do is you could give them an opportunity, maybe, I'm just bringing this out, all of you ask your questions first, or maybe time, and many of the questions they have may be the same ones you have, and vice versa. And then maybe set aside X time where if they have any questions, they can answer questions. And then as Mr. Russell pointed out, maybe you give them a chance to have input prior to you taking the vote.
And that, yeah, that, I guess, what is that process? Just a brief, hey, have they come up one at a time under a public comment type process and say, I would think I support this candidate? Is that,
If they choose to do that, they may choose not to.
Uh-huh.
But at least they have
or
that
either
option.
one of them are fine with me or whatever, but I think to me, it doesn't make any sense to have them answer here asking questions and interviewing if they don't give us their opinion when that's done. Otherwise, we might as well not do it, because their whole idea is to have their input,
I
right?
would recommend you go through the second round of interviews, ask your questions, ask if the incoming commissioners have any questions of the candidates,
Mhm.
and then ask the candidate, once you get done with Mr. Dyer,
Mhm.
maybe take a little break, and then have it open where they will have the opportunity, if they wish, to make any comments.
Makes sense to me. I mean,
And then you have a vote.
how does the rest of the board feel? I mean, that's,
I think we'll say that if anyone does have a particular comment, and I'm just thinking out loud here, this seat's gonna be vacant, so they can come up here and make their comments up here with,
Or,
however you
throughout
want.
the process, and I said, if they have any specific questions they want to ask right up front, they can give them to Mr. Russell, or one of you, and they can be asked during the interview process, because you have about an hour time.
right.
Last time you had 90 minutes, or 75 minutes, this time you chose to do a little less time.
Yeah, I guess I'm more concerned not about the questions, but about their opinion once the questioning is done. That's,
Yeah, I would not be too hung up on the 1 hour time period. If you go a little bit over,
Right.
you can start the second interview a little bit later. You only have 2 candidates.
Mhm.
So if you need to take an hour and 10 minutes, or even an hour and 15 minutes, take it. But make sure all the questions are asked, if any issues or concerns you have, ask them up front, because this is, as you know, one of the most major decisions that you make during
so
time here. And it does have to be wrapped up by December 31st.
I like the format you described, where, hey, then at the end, you can come up and say, hey, based on our questions, I support candidate or B, or I support both of them, whatever. Does that sound like something that you guys are comfortable with? I mean,
And also have the opportunity to ask the question themselves.
exactly. I
Up
mean,
here.
the interview part is a big thing, but then when you're done, okay, I don't know what use it is to me or the incoming to have you ask questions and not tell us what you think. I mean, might as well just
I
not
agree.
do the one if you're not gonna do the other. I mean, that's the whole purpose of having you involved in this process, is to have your opinion known. So,
I think we have room behind this table. You're not gonna be here, and we've got an empty commission seat. You're shaking your head no?
I think you're on the right idea, but the wrong execution. Like Richard said, perhaps a little table out here, an extension of,
Mhm.
so that you can see facial expressions, that sort of thing. But I like everything I hear. I think you're on the right track, but there has to be that separation of deliberation but with input. So
I just
I don't
didn't want
know.
them sitting behind the candidates.
I agree, and I think
You
even
could-
this table could be pushed back
I would
some.
say you could put actually, if all 4 will be here, 2 here and 2 here at the sides.
There's 5.
yeah,
Oh, 5, I'm sorry, 5, yeah.
Okay. We can get the room set up. If you prefer them, have them up here with you in some form or fashion, either on the side, so at least the candidate can also be looking straight at them.
Couldn't we just put chairs out there, because there isn't room for 5 new people over
No,
here?
there won't be.
Well,
And so it wouldn't be
Yeah,
fair to have
I mean-
a couple of them here and the rest
No.
there.
But if
So,
you, still, if Mr. Lewis was not here, we put 2 chairs on each side.
Yeah. We'll get it worked out. If that is your desire to do so, we'll make it work.
I mean, I'm kind of honing on Commissioner Lown. I mean, it really is our responsibility to do, so we don't, that could create some confusion to the public to watch all of us sitting together that we're actually, which we're not doing. I mean, so,
I can do an introduction to all of that before we get started.
yeah,
but let's
Yeah.
have the 5 chairs
Yes.
out on the side.
So long, it is important to view the facial expression and the body language, because sometimes you
Right.
have a different opinion.
Yeah, we could.
right.
The reaction versus sitting in the back.
Right.
Seeing how the person interacts.
But if they're, if they have chairs up here, they can see.
Yeah, we will get it worked out
I
for
think,
you.
yeah.
The last time we did this, we had commissioners put their first and second choice down on a piece of paper. And
We had the first round, yeah.
yeah, and we also had Commissioner-elects do that. Would it make sense to do a straw poll? And, I mean, can't be an official vote, but it is significant if 5 new commissioners all supported one candidate.
I'm fine with that. I mean, there has to be some process to get your opinion, or else, we're just wasting our time having you here. I mean,
You asked for input prior to any of you making any comments about the candidate.
correct, prior to our deliberation.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And you'll be here to,
Yes.
And like I said, both candidates would appreciate the input of you and commissioners.
Input prior.
So if they just filled out, 1 and 2 and gave them to us, we would have that information.
We'll give them to Chet. Chet can tell us.
Well, I won't.
too. Oh, you won't be
No,
here,
you'll be
that's right.
giving it to me
Richard.
and I will report it out.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's good.
I think we have the process,
Roughly,
and I don't think we need a motion. We've got just by consensus, but before we quit, we'd like to hear from Commissioner-elect.
Yep. Your input?
What did we miss?
Well, excuse me, sir. I don't mean to do this to you, but public is watching, need to be up here. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Walker.
Mark Walter, District 2. It's your meeting to run, and if that's how you think that meeting should go, that's fine. I just appreciate the opportunity to have some input in the process. So, yeah, what you're saying is fine with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mark.
Anything else?
Hi, Alan Campbell, District 5. Yeah, I kind of started the process, but I think everyone was kind of had that feeling that there's going to need to be more input. You got my email and my request. I certainly appreciate you taking that into consideration. I do like the idea, because it's your deliberation once the questions are asked. I mean, I like the idea of us, I agree with Melinda, my original thought was, we're going to ask questions that are different than you, because we have different priorities than you. And that might just add insight into your decision. But I do hear what you're saying, Mr. Rexroth, in that, okay, that's fine. And what's the end result? Well, may not be that much as far as an effect. So I like the idea of just giving us, we can have a straw vote because we're not commissioners, we're not elected officials. So we can write down our thoughts, our priorities. And I don't think we have to write our number 2 candidate, we just write our number 1. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve Gilbert. No, I appreciate what you guys put forward. It is, to Chet's point, it's difficult when you're back there, they're interviewing, you can't see the facial expressions, stuff like that. So just having chairs up here where we can see that, because that's a dialogue we'll be having with that individual, once they get that position. So, but I like the idea of, at least being able to see the facial expression. The questions I think is good. That wasn't as pertinent to me, I trust you guys to ask the questions, and I know I communicate with a lot of you to just, to ask those questions, so I trust you guys in that process. But it would be great to be involved with that process, but I don't want to make it complicated where it creates more of a mess than it helps either, so, but I appreciate you guys just, working with that and making it possible. Thanks.
I'm sorry, I mean, it's to make it complicated. I had this whole idea of years back, a lockbox. The lockbox will be in the drawer in the cabinet. I mean, only a few people who remember presidential elections remember those conversations. So please, let's not make it a lockbox moment, okay?
I feel the same way. It's, I trust you guys. You guys started this process. You're still a team here. And I trust your decision when you're gonna make. Suggestion I have, I'm just throwing it out there, rather than having us sit on chairs, maybe you guys, I don't know, how long you guys gonna be asking questions?
It's just about,
1 hour. I don't think the 5 of us need an hour. Maybe take a break, put your name tags down, let the 5 of us sit over there, ask questions from that side, or you can sit up here if you want to. It's just a suggestion. That way we'll probably get a better read, they'll get a better read seeing us, sitting across. It's just an idea. Throw out there, but at the end, I trust you. You guys will make the decision.
thank you.
I like the idea of you guys being able to see all of the facial responses to our questions and your questions. So I don't know how we do it. To me, that seems to be
We'll get it.
body language and voice. However that, you can arrange that. You guys got it.
We'll make it.
It'll be in the up, lockbox will be in the top
No,
drawer.
no. Just make it sausage.
And the thing is,
We'll make sausage.
my,
You know what I'm talking about.
We'll make
my comment on that suggestion is, we've only got an hour, so we don't have time to do this twice for an hour.
Hour, 15 minutes, somewhere now.
And Richard has agreed to be Chet on Thursday.
That'll be Zoom here, so. Now, one thing, I think all of you know, and I explained to both candidates that by law, you can only offer a 1-year contract. Usually county administrators have 3-year contracts, but that's a little misleading because I would recommend my contract and every contract that I've done is there's a 90-day opt-out clause. So really, even a 1-year contract versus a 3-year contract, there's a 90-day opt-out clause. So really, both candidates know that.
45.
But as you know, you can't offer only a 1-year contract. So the most you can offer somebody is employment through December of 2025. However, even in that 1-year contract, I would recommend you have a 90-day opt-out clause.
Right.
And then next year, the board can do a 3-year contract, but still have that 90-day opt-out clause. So you hear about 2-year or 3-year contracts. If they're done well, there's always an opt-out clause to protect
Yes.
commissioners. And so that, both candidates know about that.
And when do
Only
you,
because it's an election year, you can only offer 1 year.
when do you get back from Marquette?
Friday morning.
So if this board agrees to have Doug and I work with you on negotiating a contract,
We can even start Thursday afternoon, because my interviews are Thursday night.
Just let me, we'll work out a time.
Okay.
But I have talked about the basic terms of the contract. So I don't think it's going to be a major issue.
And I will have the motion ready for you just to fill in the blanks. So she's already given it to me in purpose, so Jen has it too, so.
You better take your snow
agreed by
shoes.
consensus on how we want to operate?
We okay?
Take it.
Okay.
Mr. Robbins?
I've got my,
Oh, excuse me.
the question I have is, okay, I've done my homework on the 2 candidates. And this is gonna take place Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's short notice, but, can you, I'm just throwing it out there, maybe to speed things up, give the 2 candidates our live phone numbers, if they want to call us between now and Thursday, and we can talk one-on-one too. That's,
I wouldn't advise that.
We're not doing.
I mean, you guys can do whatever you want. They can't.
No, I meant us. I mean, the 5 of us, the candidates, I don't call us, because they're going to be one board.
So I say call it Dawn.
Yeah.
They have not contacted any of you, I don't.
No.
No.
But I meant, keep it down, but I meant as far as us, if it was.
That's, leave that between you and the
Yeah.
5 of you and the 2
And
candidates.
if they had questions about, us.
Well, their only question was, will the incoming commissioners have an input into the process? Because obviously they don't want to be in a situation like, I don't know.
Yeah. But I don't even sense that's an issue here anyway. I think we've got a couple good candidates. I don't think, I mean, I don't think we'll get to
I
Ottawa.
didn't know if they had questions.
We are not gonna pull an Ottawa on.
Well, Chet, drive safely.
last time, I'm going to have a slight difference of opinion, but I don't like the idea of you guys leaving there, sorry, Rick. I think symbolically, I don't like it, I guess, but perhaps even more process-wise, that way you guys don't get to see the facial expressions. So that's a big disadvantage as far as enlarging the process, if you guys can't be that part, so.
Thank you.
A lot of times the body language and tone are more important than the actual answer.
Oh, yeah.
So Chet, drive carefully, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the tube on Thursday.
Yeah. Chet, by the way, thank you for the background. I thought that was quite done very well.
It was an enjoyable process.
It was,
Two really good candidates.
it was quite thorough, it was. Thank you.
Any public comment? Thank you very much for coming. Any commissioner comments? Could
Motion to adjourn.
we are adjourned.
Look at the